So I came across an article about the interview Todd Boehly did on Thursday. I think this was a few days after the Southampton game. And they asked him about the project, they asked him about the ownership and the criticism from the fan base. And his response, in summary, was, it takes a lot of time with moving in the right direction and all that jazz. That he's saying the same stuff he was saying, 2 years ago. And one thing that stood out to me is when he said, in June, we'll be 3 years into this project, and 3 years isn't a lot of time. And I'm not gonna lie, that was a red flag because one, in football, 3 years is a lot of time. A lot can happen in 3 years. Within a year, under Newcastle, their new ownership, within a year, they went from the relegation zone to the Champions League within a year or two. Aston Villa, within a year of just having a new manager, they went from the relegation zone to the Champions League. And and what have we done? Since Clean came in, we went from the Champions League to the Conference League within 2 years. So we regressed, and he's talking about time. We're not asking to win the league this season. We're just asking to get top four and win the Conference League or win a trophy at least. You know what I mean? Like just this season, top four and a trophy, get that, and then go for the league next season. That's what most of the fans agree on. But the problem is that there's a lack of pressure at this club. There's no pressure on the manager to perform. There's no pressure on the players to perform. That's why there has to be a lot of pressure on the ownership because they have little regard about the performance. The managers we've sacked, it had nothing to do with performance. None of them had anything to do with performance. Potter was the worst performing manager under this ownership, and they wanted to keep him the most. But he didn't have an issue. He didn't say anything. He just got on with what he was doing. He didn't say anything bad about the ownership. They wanted to keep him the most because he said nothing, despite being the worst performing manager we had at Chelsea. And that alone spoke volumes to me. That just told me, oh, they're not that fussed. They're not. They're not. They're not fussed. Like they want us to make top four because obviously you get the money. But if we get top four every year for 5 years, they'll view that as a success. That doesn't bother them, and that's what concerns me. And this isn't new information. This was known for over a year. People are only realizing this now. Everyone's always 2 years or 3 years late to the party, but like this isn't new information. And this interview from Todd doesn't really tell us anything new either.